Man, the taste of freedom sure is sweet. I know it's been a rocky road after independence, with that tricky business of the Articles of Confederation, and its problems ratifying the Constitution, that whole whiskey rebellion, but in the end, it all worked out.
You said it. Liberty, peace, and money are rolling in. I'm so glad to be rid of those oppressive redcoats. Now we can sit back, enjoy the peace, and hopefully never have to involve ourselves with them again.
Hey guys, have you heard the news? The French have gone into a revolution. The king's head is rolling in a basket. The French are revolting and raising a new government. Guillotines are everywhere, and the French are at war with the British. Europe is at war again.
Welcome everybody to a presidential cabinet meeting. We have a glaring issue at the nation's table. I need your advice on a side to take, that being a stance on the ongoing French Revolution subsequent French-English War. The French minister Edmond Guenet, who has traveled through our nation, has ignited sympathy among the population in favor of intervention.
Support the revolution! Support the revolution! Support the revolution!
A legal argument stands on our official alliance with the French due to their aid in our independence signed in 1778. However, it was signed under a different French government. Another war against Britain would eliminate already unstable trade relations and could be devastating. I would like to hear both sides of this argument. First, Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gentlemen, the French are leading a revolution just as we had before. They are fighting for freedom and liberty. They are our brothers, and their government our sister republic. We must heed the call to action and support them in this endeavor. We are further legally inclined to do so, as our treaty in 1778 provokes. Though the French government may differ than the one we signed, it should be that our treaties are bound by a nation and not by which rules it. We signed an agreement with France, not just the head of the state. If we are to abandon France, it is casting aside our ally who aided us in our own revolution. France may also be the key to our trade and economic struggle, with renewed relations bolstering our economy, and ultimately the power to declare war rests within Congress, who answers to the will of the people, which should dictate us to ensure we follow our established treaties. Thank you.
Secretary Hamilton, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Frankly, France is in a state of anarchy. The people are rioting and terror runs freely in the streets. The executions are mounting high and their problems are at a standstill. We cannot risk our nation's security and endanger our already fledgling economy on not a sister republic, but a nation tearing itself apart. We signed a treaty with King Louis XVI, and unfortunately, he isn't around anymore to head France. We have no legal precedent to intervene with the French war with the British. Furthermore, legally France has declared war on Britain. Our treaty binds us to a defensive agreement, not offensive, so even if we were still obliged to this treaty, it wouldn't affect us anyway. We have too much to lose by intervening. And the President has the constitutional right, through the right to dictate foreign policy, to make a decision on this issue, and should frankly make the right one. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Secretary Hamilton. These are both good arguments, and I fear the division in this cabinet room may reflect our very nation. But I agree with Secretary Hamilton. We cannot risk getting involved in this conflict. We have too much to lose, and the legal precedent is too blurry. We must draft an official statement of neutrality. All in favor say aye.
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 As President of the United States, I hereby declare this statement of neutrality. The United States shall not intervene in the affairs of the French and the British, whether it be in either side's favor. Our nation shall remain neutral and at peace with this legal document. Furthermore, any American citizens attempting to intervene or join in on the other side of one party shall be prosecuted for being in violation of this document.
Boo. Boo.
Mr. Gideon Henfield, you are being tried here today for violating the Proclamation of Neutrality. You have been found joining a French privateer group and sailing a very valuable priced British vessel into American waters. How do you plead, Mr. Henfield?
I plead guilty, Your Honor. But, to be fair, I would argue it's an American vessel now. What? No! This can't be! No!
Alright, pal, I don't think I'm getting through to you. You and your tea-loving buds need to stop flooding your awful goods into our market. You need to leave our northwestern land, stop taking our sailors to go fight in your wars, stop blocking our exports, and please get a new dentist.
I'll have you know, my teeth are in perfect condition, mate.
You rebellious Americans should maybe get some higher quality goods and stop sailing in British waters. And we are not to depart rightful British land.
Oh, how dare you! No, you let me tell you this. Let me tell you what, you little. I'll tell you what. No, stop talking. Stop talking. Your mother.
Mr. John Jay, thank you for joining us. Our nation finds itself at odds again. Though we have drafted ourselves to a state of neutrality, we still find ourselves on the brink of war again with Britain. They capture our sailors, flood our market, block our exports to the mainland, inhabit disputed territory along the northwest border, dispute West Indies trade among our nations, and lastly, access to the Mississippi River has heightened tensions. The British delegation continue to threaten our young nation. Secretary Hamilton has drafted a treaty, but we need you to envoy our wishes to the British in London. Mr. J, it is of much importance.
President Washington, it would be an honor. I will be off at once.
Ah, Mr. John Jay, welcome to London.
Good evening, Baron Grenville. The United States wishes to come to an agreement to ease tensions on favorable terms. First, let's establish our terms.
On with it then.
First, you must stop seizing our sailors, or we will respond with a force of arms. Second, we wish to resolve the issue of American debt to British loyalists, as well as oversee the removal of British troops on our northwestern border from the forts and establish a permanent Canadian border. We also wish to establish more favorable trade in the Indies and the British mainland.
That's laughable. What position do you have to make all these demands against Britain?
If you do not compromise and come to an agreement, we will aid the Danish and Swedish in enforcing their own neutrality, and we will respond if you attempt to seize our soldiers with a mighty force.
Ha, well that's funny, old champ. But your mate, Mr. Hamilton, has already informed us that your nation has no intent of carrying either of those out with fear of war and wanting to gain favorable terms.
What? Please just help me come to an agreement.
Well, champ, we'll leave the border and debts to arbitration of an outside council to award who gets what. We will grant you favorable nation status in trade and allow you to trade some good exports to the Indies if you put a limit on your cotton export.
Fine. Let me sign. Mr. President, the English agreed to the treaty.
Excellent, let me read it. Mr. J, this is not the draft of the treaty we gave you. I can't say I'm impressed with this, and in fact, I'm not going to say that. I will instead say I'm not mad, I'm just a little disappointed. It's going to be very difficult to get this passed.